and welcome to the show. I'm Brian Smith, and you're watching Spreading Smith with Brian. Today's guest is Noah Schmidt. Noah, welcome again.
Hi there, Brian. Thanks for having me on for a second time.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure. So, I'm seeing a bunch of the stuff behind you. What is some of your nerd out hobbies that just drive you wild?
This room is like, it's a bedroom / like shrine. It goes so much further beyond just the background, but I know I'm like a grown man, but I've always liked Lego, you know, and especially in recent years, they've made more of an effort to advertise towards adults, you know, like there's a lot of like 18 plus products, not like, you know, like a Lego strip club, but like Lego sets based on like, you know, like Transformers and like, you know, all this nostalgic stuff that everyone grew up with. So, you know, as an adult, I've just gotten like engrossed by it. And most of the things I enjoy also just happen to come in Lego. So I've amassed like, it's got to be like thousands and thousands of dollars worth of this stuff. Yeah, what you see behind me is like just a sliver. The rest of the room is just full of it. It's a bit chaotic at this point. I've organized it as well as I can, but you know, I'm lucky enough that I've had enough kind of, I guess, spare change to you know, do such an expensive hobby, because it's expensive. Like this is not it's not a casual thing. Once you get like absorbed into it, it's like this is like thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's the same me with like my Warhammer and everything like that. Like I have so many of the novels, like the Horse Heresies and stuff, and they're all in storage and everything. And then I've got so many models. Like it's insane. You look at my Instagram and I've posted a couple of them there. But
some, yeah.
It's the only hobby I can have because it's so expensive. And I mean, it's the plastic crack, right? So, you know, and again, I love building the stuff, and it's been a little bit since, just because I put priority to school. So everything else went to the side, and started building again this summer. But then I found some of my paints have dried out. So I'm kind of heartbroken about that. And it was, you know, I've got models that I've put aside for a while that I was able to build, but I won't be painting any of them this year because I want to get a new computer. I also just bought a new camera and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so it's some of the priorities of like, I can build them and just wait till next summer or whatever and just paint to my heart's content and everything. But yeah, I love it. It's so much fun. Like huge on the lore, and then I love building them stuff. Haven't played in a while. Last time I really played a lot was like, I was still in the military in Wainwright, so there was a lot of guys there and stuff like that. And then, you know, moving out here, COVID killed some of that stuff, and then it's just then school and everything, and then all right, let's do the priorities. But yeah, I love the lore. It's so lore rich and everything, and then building all the models and a little bit of each faction. It's expensive.
It's so expensive, and I totally agree. Like when school came in, well, it's like you got tuition, you like textbooks, you got to like drive all the way out there, so the gas is crazy. So it's like I hadn't bought like a Lego set for like months, and then as soon as summer kicked in, it's like get all the money ready for tuition, get that done, and then it's like, okay, I've got a little bit of funny money now. I can kind of indulge myself a little bit, you know. So there's a couple projects like I've got. There's something that some people in the like Lego community do where if there's a really expensive set, like a big old like retired or rare one, instead of just buying it for like $2,000 on eBay, you piece it together over time, because the pieces are all the same. Like the brick made now is exactly the same as it was 2005. So it's like I've been building, there's the second Death Star from Star Wars, and I think like I've got like a quarter of it maybe, but I think by the end of the summer, that's my hope, is to have the whole thing done, because that's like my white whale. That's the one that I've always wanted, like as a kid, seeing that and like the reference books and stuff. That's the one, and I'm like I'm so close. I'm so close.
Yeah, for a little grad treat for getting such good marks and stuff, I bought myself a new Space Wolves box set there, and
oh, nice,
having fun with that. But I mean, you got to have those little rewards where you're like, look, for the last 9 months, it's been this. Let's have a little bit of fun with something that's just for me, and it's not trying to build the show or going towards school stuff and everything.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to be able to. It's always weird though. I find that especially like as an adult, I always think about like when you hear people say money can't buy happiness or stuff like that, and I always just kind of think that I'm like, damn, should I just like, is this like really making me happy? But I'm like, I think it. I don't know. I like it, and maybe it's technically scientifically buying a bunch of models and putting them on display is it's like, oh, it doesn't actually make you happy. It's like the illusion of happiness. I enjoy it, and I'm not going to let anyone tell me otherwise. I'm an adult. It's stupid, but I'll do whatever I want with my money as long as it's within reason for the most part. So yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with having a hobby like that relies on a lot of physical stuff. And it's part of it with like even like with Warhammer and with Lego, it's like you're building stuff, you're painting stuff. It's not just like, oh, you don't just like take the guy and put him on a shelf and like, oh, done. You got to actually there's some steps to get there, and I think that makes it feel a lot more rewarding.
Well, exactly, right? And I barely make the guys how they're supposed to be. Like I have enough parts for over all these years, right? Like I can do different heads that are unique and this and that. And hey, this cool weapon here. And I got eventually, you buy all the tools and the saws and everything. So you can start cutting green stuff so you can start molding everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fun hobby just to look at and go, okay, how am I going to build this guy? Okay, I'll make him a sergeant or I'll make him a captain.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. Then he needs this cool weapon and he's going to have this and have that. And you get to have fun with it. And then, I mean, when you play games and stuff like that, and then, tournaments, then you're like, that guy there, you've got that little bit, like if he dies on the table, you're like, oh no, not Sergeant Johnson. Oh no, right? Like you've got a little bit of because you made him, and you have those little memories of like, oh yeah, he was a real pain to get that sword to go that way because it didn't work or whatever. You had to modify. Like, I mean, yeah, every now and then, guys and gals just need something that is completely kind of just doesn't really do anything. There's no real thing for it, but it's just a little bit of mental pleasure because you got to be creative with something. Use your hands and build and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's especially as an adult, it's like escapism. And yeah, I found that as I got older and stuff like that, it became almost more like collecting stuff is like more alluring to me because it's like, I don't know, it makes my pastime special. It's like I have something to look forward to, and there's a sense of accomplishment when you're done. So yeah, I think there's like, whatever scientists say, whatever, money technically doesn't buy happiness. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't buy happiness, but it buys the experience. I think that can make you happy. And that's with a lot of things too. It's like most of the things we do now, it's like you're not going to even go to the beach. I want to go to the beach. Money can't buy happiness, but something has to buy that parking pass. So yeah, for me, it's like, I don't know. I try not to think of things like that. And then it makes me feel horribly like depressed when I think about things like that, because then I'm like, I've wasted so much time and money on this stuff.
But I think if, like money can't buy happiness and all those things like that. But if you just try and buy an item, right? And, oh, this is going to make me feel better. It won't.
Exactly.
But when you buy something that builds a memory, right? Exactly, and like, you're like, hey, going to my gal and being like, I think I'm going to paint him like this. And she's like, okay, yeah. Right. And, she's just playing whatever. But, and then I remember when I finally build them, go, remember when I told you I was going to build? Be like, no. I'm like, it's fine. Right. Or,
exactly.
You go paint schemes. You're like, hey, I'm thinking blue or green. And then, you paint one, you go, yeah, that was a good choice. Right. Like, it's more just remembering those things. Right. Like, and I think that's where society's changed a little bit, where everyone wants stuff. Hey, I want to be happy. I want to be happy.
Yeah.
Happiness doesn't just come. Rich people are fucking miserable all the time. Yeah. They're depressed.
Exactly.
There's so much substance abuse with the people that have money that gives them everything. Right.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's about having fun with it and being able to go, okay, I made people happy. I spent money on that. I bought this. Hey, look at the joy I made for people and stuff. And, when you start learning that, when you help out other people before you help out yourself,
yeah,
one, you get that benefit of that, but then people will want to help you more, right? And then they've shown like, hey, you're just giving help out. It was just this, hey, thanks for doing that, or whatever it is, right? Like, yeah, I think we've weirdly switched what makes us happy, and everyone thinks it's just stuff. And I mean, look, that stuff makes me happy, but it doesn't fulfill me at the end of the day.
Exactly. It's not like I think when you start thinking about it like constant, it's the only thing you think about, then it's like you got to pull back a little bit and kind of reset your priorities. But as like a pastime, I have like a lot of the stuff, I buy all these Lego sets. It's like I have like memories of a lot of them are things that I enjoy from my childhood, like Batman and comic book stuff and Star Wars. And I can look at I've got right behind me here, the Disneyland locomotive. It's like the train from Disneyland. And I went to Disneyland all the time as a kid. So having that on my shelf, it just, I don't really see it as much as just like a collector's item. I see like myself on that train as a kid and all the fun times I had at Disneyland and stuff growing up. So it's like, I think when you look at it from the perspective of like, well, I have this, do you have this? Then it's like, okay, now it's like, are you even doing it for you? It's just, for me, it's like I've got to be doing it because it means something to me, not just to have the bragging rights. Like, oh, I've got this I've got this Batman figure. You don't have that, huh? It's like, no, I have that Batman because it's Michael Keaton. That's my favorite Batman. So I don't know. I think people look at it nowadays, a lot of people, in a kind of more twisted sense of bragging rights, and just whoever has the most stuff is the coolest. Like toddlers, like kids do. And I guess I do have a lot of stuff. I would have the most stuff, but it's all stuff like that harkens back to my childhood, and I have fun building it. I do a lot of it with my dad too. Like I'll buy a big Lego set and then we'll both sit down and build it together. That's the kind of stuff you do it for, and then you get to just kind of relax and look at it and be like, yeah, I did something. I built something.
Yeah, for Christmases and birthdays and stuff, if the niece and nephew get any Lego, then for their mom or me or helping out, because we used to build it all the time when we were kids and stuff. And I mean, it's crazy some of the stuff they have now. Like
I've got some of the big ones too. Like I've the Titanic I've got up there. It's like 9,000 pieces or something like that. And you can take it apart and see the inside of the ship. So there's little rooms and stuff. And it's like all the big Star Wars ones. And I will admit some of them are like, it's kind of getting too expensive. Like I think the hobby, like for me as a student now, when I'm on summer break is one thing. When I've got like a couple jobs and I can, every day I'm working, then I can spend a little bit more on like stuff like this. But like the average person, you can't, getting into this hobby now is borderline impossible. Like you're looking at like a set that's like the size of like half a loaf of bread, and it's $160 US. So it's like some of the stuff, like the new Star Wars stuff they've got coming out like August 1st. It's got all the Lego people in the community like riled up, because it's like getting to like a tipping point where it's like you're going to start losing customers at this point, because this is getting so exorbitant, and like the quality is not really much higher than it was like 5 years ago. So it's like there's no justification for the price increase at this point. So it's like, after the summer is over, like I'm not going to buy a Lego set again till like maybe I'll get one for my birthday in November, but like get a couple, have some fun building them, put them on display, and then kind of forget about it for a while, because it's just not feasible anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the economy for a lot of people, right? Like things that they could afford a couple of years ago, everything's gone up, whether it's tariffs or this or that, or the economy, or just businesses being a little bit greedy, where they go, where's that line? Where's that line?
They keep testing, they keep pushing it. And eventually I think a lot, like for me, like with the Lego stuff, it's like this August, I used to buy a bunch of the new Star Wars stuff. I'm not buying a single one. Like you got to vote with your wallet at a certain point. It's like when it gets to the point of being like, like completely without like there's no justification for it anymore. It's like, I don't know, like I can't in good conscience like support a company that does that, you know?
Well, I also see with like the advent of 3D printers and stuff like that. And I mean, Games Workshop's dealing with it with Warhammer product as well. But like, you know, Lego might as well, where if people can start 3D printing different things, and it might not even be the Lego shapes, but somebody just goes, these are the shapes I've made. Here's the, you know, the files for it. Look at the things I built with it. And that might start people early on. Like there's the ability for a nobody who has just a little bit of skill, who can create stuff and then go, hey, people, I put it online, you do it and have it here, enjoy, right? It's going to start creating, I think, new markets, right? Same thing with like, you know, big movies and stuff like that. Like right now they're getting to the point like way back in the day when Cleopatra was so expensive and some of those movies just bankrupted studios, right?
Yeah.
You know, just like with the Marvel movies now, where they cost $1 billion to make and they have to have $1 billion just to clear, not even make profit.
Yeah.
And you know, you're getting that kind of thing where it's reaching its point, right? Soon cameras are getting cheaper. I mean, it's still expensive, but it's not like the $50,000 that you needed to before. Like, you know, you spend a couple grand, you get a very decent camera or just your cell phone nowadays, depending on what kind of thing you want to do and your style and stuff like that. But it's getting easier where you're going to start seeing a lot more of the independent stuff. And, you know, absolutely. People are liking podcasts more. And instead of going to the news, they find their one reliable person that seems pretty down the line. And, you know, they're going to tell you the truth and not give you a bias. And you go, okay, this is what's happening. And, you know, I mean, I watch the news, but then I also watch a lot of people who seem pretty cool with economics, and they give it right down the line. They go, hey, this group sucked, and when this government was in power, they sucked too. Look, you know, right? And you get, okay, this isn't a person trying to sugarcoat things because, oh, this guy's in charge right now. So, you know, right now, everything's at the kind of that head of, you know, I mean, piracy is getting huge again too now. Like I just watched a thing on back in like the early 2000s, like 95% of all downloads was illegal. Like nobody was doing any, like it was all, every song, every movie, all those different, you know, torrent sites and stuff like that. And then Netflix, everyone can get everything in one place for cheap. Right. And then that basically killed the piracy back then. Right. Because you're like, I can go through all that hassle or whatever, or I could just look this one thing here. And that worked. Right. But now everyone's got their own channel and it's costing more and more and more. And then they're like, hey, we never used to make you watch commercials, but now you're going to watch commercials.
You're going to watch commercials.
You buy this new tier that we've made,
I know.
And then it keeps creeping. And then people are starting to go back to piracy.
Yeah.
Right.
I think so I'm glad that people are starting to, it's seemingly, because you vote with your wallet and in the sense that like every dollar is precious now. So it's like you're searching for what gives you the most bang for your buck. You know, like even if it's maybe, like 3D printing something instead of like if you've got that available, or like maybe choosing an off-brand thing or something like that's why these sites like Temu and stuff have become so huge in the past few years. It's because of that. It's like your dollar just doesn't go as far as it used to. And so now it's like any avenue of getting a similar experience or product at the lowest possible price. I mean, it only makes sense now. And I think these big companies are going to start feeling the ramifications of that. Even like the last Marvel movie that came out, it bombed at the box office, even though it was for a Marvel movie, pretty good. Like it felt like an actual movie. But like people are kind of accustomed now. They're like, okay, the next Marvel movie's coming out. The last few have been pretty bad. Why would I waste my money on this? You know? So it makes sense. And I think finally, I hope that these big mega corporations will just clue into the fact that the business model of just kind of bare minimum for maximum, max price is just not working. And it just is not sustainable.
Yeah, and I mean, the talent pool's not there, right? There's a lot of Nepo in Hollywood. I mean, look, there's Nepo in every industry. But like, you know, like just because your grandpappy or your dad or your mom or whatever was an amazing actor, a lot of them aren't. Like, you know, hey, this wasn't your talent and stuff. And I mean, but you're starting to see that too with a lot more cheaper movies. Like Godzilla -1 cost like
what, like
pennies.
18 million,
pennies.
8 million?
Yeah. maybe
8 million?
20 or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I think that number there came, I don't know.
Didn't it got
but it was so cheap and it made so much. And that
didn't
was
get the Oscar, I think, for visual effects.
that was a great movie. Like
It
the
is, no, yeah,
story,
it's
like
fantastic.
most monster movies suck, right? Like they're very, you get it formulaic, all that stuff.
After
like
a
that.
while, it's like, yeah, but that one, it's interesting that you actually care about the human characters for once. It's not just like the American Godzilla movies that have been coming out for the past 10 years. Like no one's favorite character is ever gonna be like Aaron Taylor Johnson's character from the first movie. I'm surprised I even remember he was in that. But like it'd be kind of far-fetched, but I can see if someone was like, I really like the protagonist from -1 because he's an actual character,
So good, and the levels and the depth, and I think that's what's going to happen, right? Hollywood kind of got a little lazy, right?
Oh,
they were
absolutely.
top dog for a long time, but now because of all these other channels like streaming services,
And
we get foreign films. And as soon as enough
Foreign
people
films.
go, did you see this Italian, this Japanese, this movie, that movie? People go, oh my God, look at a different feel other than a Hollywood feel for a monster
Yes,
movie
exactly.
or something. Yeah. Well, supply and demand, right? As soon as the demand goes to, like people, I don't know about you, but I don't care about superheroes blasting through cities and them all exploding, those big spectacles. Like, it gets to be a little bit after a while when you're like, wow, this fight scene is 20 minutes. Oh, wow, there's so many buildings and stuff, right?
Yeah,
Whereas opposed to a good story that has just been watching a lot of 80s and 90s movies and looking at their effects. And some of them are still unbelievably amazing. And you're like, Jesus. And they just knew how to do just enough of like the practical effects and then, using the glass and painting over it and stuff like that.
Yeah,
When they had to do certain things and getting all the matte, and some of that stuff, like watch the thing on that. And that was cool too. Like some of the Charlie Chaplin things where they show how he did some of those stunts and the matte paintings and everything in perspectives and then in wires. And it was crazy for that era. And you're like, wow. And Buster Keaton and all those ones too, where you're just like, these people did crazy stuff with what they had.
I think because I'm still a big superhero fan, but I think people always throw around people are getting superhero fatigue. They're getting tired of superheroes. I don't think that's true. I think it's just like people are getting tired of bad movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the new Superman movie that came out. I really liked it. I saw it 3 times in theaters. I thought it was fun, and I think even with big action scenes, I'm fine if you're an action movie as long as everything is earned.
Mm-hmm.
If there's action, like with the Superman movie, there is characters that you care for. Superman's like a genuine nice guy, as opposed to like the dark and gritty like Zack Snyder Superman from 10 years ago. And I think at a certain point, like movies like that, and like the Thunderbolts that came out earlier this year, that was the Marvel one. Once they start becoming actual movies and not these corporate products, then I think people will go back to them. But the way things are working, even especially with things like Marvel, it seems like from what insiders and people that have worked with the company say, it's more of the head honchos. They write the basic skeleton of the movie, they determine what happens, and then as the director and the screenwriter, you just kind of work around it. It's like, that's not art. That's not how art's made. So I think hopefully, like the new Superman movie, it had a vision. The director wanted to do something specific and he did it. And you can tell. And a lot of the recent superhero, I call them like slop busters. They're just slop blockbusters. You can tell that they're just made by a committee and that there is no desire to actually tell the story. It's like, we need something out on Disney Plus. We need something in theaters for this slot. So I hope that we're kind of getting back to a time maybe where these big action movies, like again, yeah, because I think it's a superhero movie. Obviously they can still make a lot of money when they're actual, films, like the Spider-Verse movies that came out a few years ago, the animated ones. They're fantastic. They're great films. They're not just great superhero movies. And I think as soon as that's what Hollywood's got to learn, is that it's people I think they've underestimated how much people actually want to see art instead of just like flashing lights and big CGI battles, because people want to see a movie that's different and has a clear style, and you can feel the passion in certain films just oozing out of them because the people behind them actually knew what they wanted to do. And then the movies that are transparently just products, no one's ever going to remember them. You're never going to watch them again. And I hope at least that if Hollywood can continue in its current kind of state, that it learns that people value the artistry behind it, and it's not just flashing lights and shit. It's a tirade. I kind of got lost there, but
no, but I think a lot of people are feeling it, right? And the studios will come out with their PR and be like, "Oh my god, these haters." It's like, no, it's just a shitty movie, right?
Yeah,
like
exactly. Not everything is about it's review. There is definitely like review bombing and stuff like that does happen, and that's stupid. And people that do that are just, what are you doing with your life? But yeah, it's when people speak up about the state of things, you can't be dismissive about like, oh well, there's always going to be haters. It's like, yeah, but if the majority of the public is like, okay guys, this isn't working, that your audience is there to tell you. The only people you should be listening to are the people consuming the product, not shareholders or not the people at the top that are like, oh, this is what I want for the movie. It's like, you got to do what's best, but also keep the audience in mind,
Well, it's like we learn in school, right? Like, it doesn't matter what music you want to listen to. Nobody gives a shit. This is what everyone else wants to listen to, and that's exactly what it plays, right? Like, you're not going to, I like the oldies. No, this is a station that plays, this or that. But, I mean, yeah, you're definitely going to see new studios pop up who, with a couple of $1 million, can do things that studios with huge budgets can't do.
Yeah.
And huge budgets can only do huge studios can only do those kind of budgets and those kind of movies so long before they have to pull back, right? And, I mean, people don't mind a message in a movie. They've been in movies forever. Just they were really good at getting the message out and it being so subtle that you're like, oh my God, that is this. Where nowadays they're like, hey, this is our message. This is our message. Yeah. And you're like, okay, I get it. But where's the story? Where's the character arc, right? Like, nowadays characters, they have no arc. It's just all of a sudden, I'm all great and I can do this and that. And it's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Where's your journey? Where's your, your struggle that happens, right? Like, it's people who shouldn't be writers, but they knew somebody or whatever, or fucking failed up. And then now they make movies and these studios are like, oh, yeah, we're losing a lot here. Oh, these people, they're just evil and mean. It's like, oh, like we just watched Indiana Jones Last Crusade the other day, and it was
my favorites.
Fucking amazing, even to this day, stuff like that. Like,
I love that movie.
The effects and certain things. Like some of the ones you're like, okay, like yeah, that's
you can tell the green screen or
they couldn't quite as good as it is now because it's not digital and they can't do amazing things. But like it still looked good and it still holds up, and you see that. And then you look at some movies nowadays, and because like you said, it's the studio's doing it, so. Instead of a director having an idea and going, okay, I need the art department to start doing this. This is how it's going to go. And this is where we're going to go. And everyone kind of does it. They're voting by committee going, oh, I don't know. What about this market demographic now? What about this? And what about that?
Exactly.
And they spread it out. And then all these, VFX artists are like, Jesus, what are we changing now? Okay, now he looks like an elephant. Oh, fuck. Okay. Well, and then they rush it. And then they these final projects with some of the movies. And you're like, oh man, like that is rough. Like you can see that things or the story is so out of whack because they've edited so times. So you're like, okay, this part of the movie and this part of the movie seem like they were one script. Then you can see where this got thrown in, that got thrown in. They changed this, and you can see the clunkiness and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, some of these movies now look like their first year. Film students.
Yeah, some of them, it's
like, why?
It's pretty bad. Yeah. And I remember even like I was really excited this year for the Daredevil show, for Daredevil Born Again, like the reboot. But I mean, I kind of, the behind the scenes of it, apparently the show in its first kind of state was so awful that it had to be like pretty much scrapped in its entirety. So a lot of the show that ended up on Disney Plus earlier this year was reshot, but they still kept some parts of the original show, and you can kind of tell like some of it feels choppy, and like one episode is like brutal and Daredevil's just like snapping people's knees and stuff, and then the next episode he's hanging out with like Captain, or like what is it, the character Miss Marvel's dad, and it's like this kind of comical kind of like bank heist. It's like those two things can coexist, but like you can tell that this show has been kind of ripped apart and stitched back together, and that it's really at the end of the day not one person's vision anymore, and that disappointed me. And the same thing happened with the new Captain America movie that came out, whatever that was, like 4. I don't even know which number that was, but you can tell it's been kind of like mangled in the studio. Like there's certain things that go nowhere, or a character, the bad guy just kind of disappears after a certain point, or just like I remember in that movie the bad guy just gets arrested like before the final act of the movie, and then that's like he just gets taken away by the cops, and then they have the big final battle with a different bad guy. It's like, what? Like that's the big climactic ending. Like it doesn't, like I don't care at that point. So the bad guy's already gone before the end, like before the final battle and everything. It's like you can tell that this was multiple different movies. There were different people, and the ideas clash, and they try to mix that together, and it doesn't work.
Yeah. I mean, I had high hopes for Daredevil. I mean, I still enjoyed it. There were the certain parts that you're that, but like Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are
they're still great.
So good that I mean, how he played Kingpin and the cadence of the voice he does, and like Vanessa,
it was still on point.
And I must, and like, but like just how he did it. But then when he was angry, how he played it so well. And even like Charlie Cox, you think the guy is blind, like how sometimes he's just kind of staring off and he's not directly looking, and you're like, he's an actor. I know he could see, but like he plays it well, and you wonder what kind of research and how. I mean, like there's some really good actors in that stuff. But again, like I said,
the script was
when you have committees and you have people changing the story, and then we got to change story 3 a bit because we're gonna loophole this thing in here and try and tie that, and we're going to start a new TV show, so we're gonna butt up this person in here to do a quick cameo, and then we're gonna
that kind of stuff. I think with the Daredevil show, as far as I can recall of what I read about the show, is that originally it was supposed to kind of be more of a reboot to the Daredevil series than a continuation. Like the end product is supposed to be a continuation of what happened, but like there's little like pieces of information scattered across all of the Marvel stuff related to Daredevil before this show came out that kind of makes you like, this is supposed to kind of be a different thing. Like there was another spin-off show where they show the hammer that Kingpin used to kill his father with. But it's a completely different, like it's a different hammer entirely than the one from the original Daredevil show. And it's like, okay, that's a nitpick. That's just a tiny detail. But then it's like, even like the tone of like some of the like the Kingpin showed up in one of the other shows beforehand, like in the Hawkeye show that they did a few years ago, and he's played by Vincent D'Onofrio, but he's just like, he can tank a hit from a car. Like he can get hit by a car at full speed, and he gets shot in the chest by an arrow and just rips it out. And it's like, I think this was going in a different direction. And then people were like, no, we want the Daredevil show that we like, that continuity to continue. And then they're like, oh shit. So now we have to, I guess, bring Foggy and Karen back into the picture. But then we also like can't really like shoehorn them into the rest of the show. So spoilers, we got to kill one of them off at the beginning of the new one, and then Karen's not in it until the last episode. It's like stuff like that. It's once you know kind of the behind the scenes of that show, it's like, this was, I think, supposed to be just a kind of a clean slate. Only thing that's kind of shared between the two Daredevil shows is the actors. Even Vanessa was supposed to be a different actress originally for Born Again. But again, people were like, the online fan communities or whatever, they catch on, and then they're like, what? No, please, like, we want Daredevil, just the same thing, just keep doing that. And they listened, but they kind of, I don't think the execution was there for that one.
Yeah, but again, it's the problem when there's different producers, different showrunners, different writers, and hey, for this show we're going wacky comical and we're really leaning into superpowers, and like a guy can take rounds and do this and fly and fall on buildings, and then different person gets a hold and goes, no, we're grounding it a little more real.
Yeah.
We're gonna do this, and
you can't have that in the middle of your, like, as you're making the show. It's like that's gonna, like, no matter what you do, is if you use any of the footage or anything that you've done for that previous iteration, you're going to be able to tell with a more kind of critical lens, like, that it doesn't fit with the new stuff.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to wait and see who learns their lessons and who doesn't. I mean, right? I mean, you could tell studio heads whatever you want, but until they see, I can only buy so many yachts this year, and no, right? And then they go, okay, maybe we got to smarten up and stuff. But I mean, who knows? There could be a huge reckoning for a whole bunch of different industries and stuff like that, because they're charging a lot for their services, and people are starting to go like, look, what are we getting for these services? Why are you doing this and that? So yeah, I think there's going to be a big reckoning within a lot of different industries.
Yeah, hopefully.
So what's the first topic that you have for today?
All right. This is unintentional, but I did have it's a superhero related one, but not in we're not talking about movies right now. So back in, obviously Superman just came out a few weeks ago, and it made me think. I started actually reading some Superman comics, because I've been one of those people that's more into the movies and doesn't read the comics. And there's one that kind of came to my attention that it's going to be my next one I think I'm going to read, but it's called Superman Smashes the Klan. And it brought me back because it is based on a 1940s serial. So back in the 40s in New York, on, I believe it was WOR, that was the network, there was a radio serial program called The Adventures of Superman, kind of like the Lone Ranger. And during the post-war years, obviously the Ku Klux Klan in the States saw a pretty big resurgence. And a lot of the popular media that we see now and in the past 40 years has been centered around what they call the Third Klan, so everything after World War II. And, after the Nazis were kind of out of the picture, it's like, why is Superman can't fight Nazis on the serial anymore? So this young writer and an activist, his name is Stetson Kennedy, he infiltrated some Klan meetings and stuff. He learned the lingo, he learned, the practices, and he was trying to expose them for the hateful bigots that they are. But at first, no one would bite, no one would take the information. But eventually he took it to the people that ran the Superman serial in New York. And they did, it was a 16-episode miniseries called, I think, I'm just trying to find the name of it. I think it was like Superman and the Fiery Cross or something like that. Oh, here it is. It's Clan of the Fiery Cross. And so in this story, Superman protects an African-American family from the Klan, which is pretty ahead of its time. And the story and the way they presented it exposed a lot of rituals and a lot of the code language that the Klan used. And a lot of people, apparently this Superman show was a big enough thing back in the day that Klan membership dropped off, and people would actually go to Klan meetings to berate them based on what they've heard in the Superman show. So Superman had an actual real world effect on people, and actually it's kind of crazy that Superman actually did do that. Like in real life, the effects of Superman could be felt on a real level, that he actually helped save people. And even, in 2019, like I mentioned before, they adapted that into a comic called Superman Smashes the Klan. And I don't want to get into everything about obviously there's a case to be made that it's relevant today as well, that kind of story. But it's just such an interesting, especially in light of this new Superman movie and how hopeful it is and stuff like that, and how it gets back to the character just being like a good man. He's Superman, you know? And I think stories like this, you know, I think Superman is just such a great character, and I'm glad people are beginning to experience him more. And you know, and now I'm just talking away about Superman, but do you know any of the? I've got a list here of some of the kind of language that the clan uses. Are you familiar with any of the? They have like a naming convention. You know how like Batman, like the '66 show with Adam West, it's like the bat phone, bat shark repellent, like the bat everything.
Everything had batarang, bat
exactly,
shield,
yeah, like bat plunger. Everything is
fire
bat.
spray.
Yeah. So the clan, everything starts with a K. So they've got like the initiation fee in the clan is a Klek token. Then they don't have the Quran, they have the Chloron with a K. A chaplain is an imperial clud. Like, I don't get how at any point in history this was ever cool. It is so lame.
What I thought it was like the original thing of it was like Civil War vets or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
But they were also like their era of Dungeon and Dragon nerds. And I think that's why there's like some of the ranks are like the Exalted Cyclops and like there's some weird
Grand
terms and
Wizard
stuff, but they're very like Grand Wizard, like very sci-fi of the day.
Yeah, it sounds like a bunch of, which makes a good kind of villain for Superman. These kind of like, and back in like the earlier days of the character, even with characters like Spider-Man and Batman, they weren't fighting, you know, like Lex Luthor and the Joker as much as they were fighting like, oh, evil businessman, clan member. Like, it's kind of funny looking back at some of those old comic books and seeing, or even like some of the old like directed TV or directed video Spider-Man movies where he's not fighting anyone. It's just like this dude. It's just a guy in a business suit that never shows up in the comics. It's like, it's such a weird era of these characters when they were just kind of not as well defined as they are now. And so you could get away with just like, oh yeah, Superman's just fighting this. It's not Lex Luthor. It's just like generic evil business guy, you know?
Well, it's like wrestling back in the days where it'd be like, and Hulk Hogan versus Doug.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay, I know which way this match is going to go, right? And you'd have like the Legion of Doom versus two fucks from the audience, right? Like, you know, and you're like, okay, the guys in the blue shorts are definitely losing.
Exactly.
But I think that was also in the era where the readers weren't dealing with like international villains, right? Like a shitty businessman, a lot of people in that era could relate to, right?
Yeah,
oh, he did this, he did that. The close to home stuff there, right? It's nowadays where you have to go so fantastical where like the entire world is going to
people expect it now
because the moon has now been pulled into the earth and yeah.
No, exactly. Yeah. So it's so fun looking back on that era where it's just like, yeah, it's simple. I wouldn't argue it's, you know, I wouldn't say it's necessarily better than what we have now. I like the arch enemy kind of approach to things where the, you know, the superhero has like a rogues gallery, but like, yeah, it makes sense for the time. Like, yeah, the Nazis, the Klan, like kind of money hungry CEOs. Not that they're, I don't think on necessarily the same level as those other guys, but you know, it's interesting looking at how our media has changed and how we've had to go make the stakes higher and everything like that because people are like, you know, it's constantly about one-upping the last thing, you know? It's the dopamine rush. It's like, it's got to be the end of the multiverse. Everyone's dying. It can't just be like Spider-Man's fighting like a dude in a rhino costume anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you get just, you know, there was the era where zombies were the thing of everything and every movie was a zombie movie and then vampire and then this and we're in the Western superhero genre and now we're kind of getting back into some of the movies that are very 80s-esque where like you have your Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know, Stallone type, you know, modern guy now where he's X this, that, and, you know, like Chris Hemsworth, what's that, Extraction or whatever, him just doing just a guy action film, just, hey, here's the storyline, troubled past, whatever. here's this thing, here's his little redemption arc, blah, 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 and then off they go. So, I mean, it's going to change and stuff like that. Like, and new mediums are going to happen and new things are going to happen. I mean, we're going to see Superman one day with a movie where it's 3D, right? Like it's, you're in your home, you got some round thing in your thing. And now the movie's like this, or you're putting on a headset and you are in the movie and you're just constantly, you can look around and, hey, you're in Metropolis, you're in Gotham. Hey, cool. Oh, look, Batman's up there. Now you're going to walk up there and see that. Like, there's going to be weird things what they go with, where you're going to be in the movie. Like, be in shape because you're going to be running away from dinosaurs. We've got the suit on you. We've got the omnidirectional, treadmill. You're all hooked up. And when they bite, you're going to get a zap. So
like Ready Player
One.
Run
And hide, right? It's going to be weird. And that new things are going to reinvigorate. And then it's going to get stale and somebody's going to do something else and change the genre. And then, hey.
Well, it's like the 3D kind of craze from like the late 2000s, early 2010s. It's like, like that's a big marketing push, everyone, you want to see it in 3D, even like IMAX and stuff like that. I hope that for me, like as someone that likes film, I like it as, it's just the movie. I hate that they've got this new thing. I saw a movie last year and I think it was like Deadpool 3 or something. And the screen now wraps around sides of the theater for parts of like the action scenes and stuff. It's awful. It looks terrible. Like I like when the focus is on exactly what's happening. The focus for the audience to me should always be on that's the beauty of it. You're sitting in a dark room. You're not looking at anything else. You're looking at just the screen, just what's happening. As soon as you give people the opportunity to, there's something on the sides of the wall. It's like, then you're looking at the wall and nothing important's happening there and something's happening here. I am a firm, believer in just letting film be this timeless format of just absorbing yourself into the film itself. There's a room for like VR experiences and stuff like that, but I hope that it never replaces just the traditional, movie going experience for me.
Yeah, there's always going to be gimmicks like that. Like that 3D thing, it was cool at the start, and then they started putting in every movie. You're like, this movie doesn't need it. They did it way afterwards, and now how they did the 3D, it doesn't look as good. These glasses, they don't depending on which theater you go to, and the glasses, stuff like that. Like these glasses don't fit me, or some people were getting motion sick because it was just too much happening.
Yeah, I can't watch the movie. No, I can't do that.
I think I've seen like one or two 3D movies and it's like,
I only see them by accident. Like I booked the ticket by accident in 3D and then I'm like, oh God, sometimes I don't even put the glasses on. I just sit there and watch this kind of blurry mess because it just gives me a headache. I'm not a huge 3D guy.
All right. So you get to meet one of the Supermen who have acted. Throughout time, right? Even the ones that have passed, right? What Superman actor would you want just to hang out with, for whatever reason?
I feel like the generic pick is Christopher Reeve. But Christopher Reeve, even after, I love the new Superman movie. I think David Cornsweet, the new Superman, does a fantastic job. But like, there's something about Christopher Reeve. His performance is so timeless. And it's just, I think, the most true to the character that I think it's a pretty much perfect portrayal of the Clark Kent Superman duality, So I would definitely, like, Christopher Reeve would be the one that I would want to meet and stuff like that. I don't even know what I'd talk to him about, but that's, to me, he's the definitive Superman. Like, I've got an action figure of him on my shelf because he's my Superman. I grew up with like Henry Cavill as Superman, but I never liked that portrayal, like the really dark and grim Superman doesn't care if he throws the bad guy into a populated city center and kills like 30 people. Christopher Reeve is just that, like, just, again, like I said earlier, he's Superman. He's a good man, and that's what takes precedence over the smashing General Zod into a skyscraper, And I think that might change. Maybe I would say that the new Superman's my favorite, but I think I want to give him a little more time, to be the character. But he's up there too. I think he's fantastic as the character.
Yeah, I didn't really like the Cavill Dark, but because he's such a Warhammer nerd and he loves one of the factions I love, I would probably just talk Warhammer stuff
You
with
just
him.
talk
Be
to him,
like,
yes, and not-
oh man, talk about custodians. What do you think? What do you that? Are you gonna do that project with them? Like, come on, like the fact that he is just such a nerd and he's been on so many interviews and like there's a couple ones with other guests and stuff like that, and all of a sudden he'll hear that guy like, oh, Warhammer, he'd be like, what? Huh? Who do you play? What do you do? And like the guests, other guests, and even the host, it's like you're secondary to the Warhammer right now. But it's like the God Emperor is getting his due, so stop. But I think it'd be him just because it'd be like, okay, how do you paint? What do you do? What do you think? Like, everything like that. Because I think I would love to deep dive nerd with him so much. And maybe I'd ask him about Superman or whatever, but I think it would be more just.
I feel like, that's kind of the opposite of me. I'm like, I don't even know what I talk to about Christopher Reeve. Just be like, damn, you're Superman. But Henry Cavill, he does seem like, from all I've seen some of those interviews too, he seems like he seems like a nice guy who was dealt a pretty bad hand by all of this. Like, like he was back as Superman for like 5 seconds a few years ago, and then he got like canned again. I know they talked recently, James Gunn, like the CEO of DC Studios, about possibly getting him in another DC thing as a different character. I think that'd be great. I think the script failed him a lot in the direction in the last Superman movies he was in. So I think maybe he could do Batman. I don't know. Like I've seen that floated around recently after that interview came out. He's not my first pick for Batman. I don't even think he's in my top 10, but I wouldn't be like pissed if he was the new Batman in the new series that they're doing.
Well, I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be, Dr. Doom, right? Yeah. So
that is so stupid.
I can't see him as anything other than Tony Stark after all these movies. So again, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know every comic book storyline. It has to be clever.
I really hope it's not just like
Cavill. You're right. He could do a Batman. He's only, and like you be it, and you'd be like, oh, maybe an alternate universe. Whatever. People.
Yeah, I think he could do good as a mainline kind of like as a replacement for like Ben Affleck. Oh, sorry, knocked the mic. He could do good as a replacement, I think, for Ben Affleck's Batman as like the main Batman that the moviegoers are going to associate with the connected universe kind of thing. I think he could do well as it. I think he could.
You know what? I want to see just a brutal villain. Find like an evil comic book character or something. Like I want to see him where you want to fucking hate him, and just because you're like he is like Nazi commandant kind of hate, where you're like this. Like I want to see. Because I think he could. Like, he could do something totally like that. I think
he's a pretty good actor, and I think he could definitely... Like, he was pretty good as an evil Superman. I mean, I didn't want to see evil Superman in any of the movies he was in, because I thought it was kind of stupid. I just want Superman. But I think, if you got him as someone like... Lex Luthor's already taken. I don't think he'd fit the Joker very well. That's one I don't think he could. But, even there's some Batman villains, like there's a villain called Hush that I think he could do pretty well. Just like like someone that he could really lean into, make him just a sadistic, like Deathstroke, or maybe he's one of these characters that has like a vendetta and will stop at nothing, like, until he beats Batman or Superman or whoever. Yeah, I think he could pull through and do a good villain.
A little bit of makeup, a character that, you're not just going to see it. So you see that character. Oh, yeah. I think I'd like to see him just dark. Just that.
He was a little great villain in Mission Impossible when he did that.
That's what I mean. Yeah. But like something where it's just, because he was kind of the henchman of somebody else. Like he was like, he wasn't like really the boss, but like, something. I think that'd be cool to watch and stuff like that.
I think it would. Yeah. I think he's got the talent, and I hope they give him a shot, one of the big studios, after what's happened to him.
Well, I hope he does go with the Amazon and they do like the Warhammer universe and stuff like that. Because he was talking about that, and then there was different directions and stuff. And the reason why I'd love to hope something like that goes through is because he's such a purist of the hobby. And he's not going to let, some writer or whatever be like, oh, hey, we're going to change it. So now the Custodes are weak and they get beaten by this. He'd be the kind of guy to be like, no. There's all this lore. You can find a story in it. Keep it pure. Because, I mean, again, that's what the fans want. Fans don't want your interpretation of Batman or your interpretation of this person. There's so much lore for some of these characters, like 70 plus years.
Yeah, like almost 100 years for a lot.
You don't need to find a good story arc. Take a couple, whatever you have to do to try and take an old story and modernize it a little bit and whatnot. And just do that. You have all the reference material needed. You don't have to make the wheel again.
Yeah, I think with like Zack Snyder, with what he did with Superman, like Man of Steel and like Batman versus Superman, like I guess it's like there's been a lot of different comic books and a lot of different versions of these characters. Some of them are more sinister than others, but like for his movies, like that's supposed to be the main line. Like that's the Batman for most people, that's the Batman they're going to associate with, like, with the movies. Like Henry Cavill is Superman. So to have these weird, extra dark and brutal versions of those as like the main line versions of the characters, I think for Superman, it ruined Superman for a while. People are like, Superman is evil and boring. That's why we saw like Homelander, Omni-Man, all of these characters that kind of parroted, or like they went off of the evil Superman kind of trope. Because that was a big thing. And now that Superman is hopeful and like a symbol of like truth, justice, the American way, all that kind of stuff now, I'm glad that we're getting back to like that's who I envision as Superman, Someone that's just not everything has to be this dark, realistic, Dark Knight-esque take on like Superman's a stupid character. It's a goofy, stupid. It's not stupid, but it's corny. Superman's not a realistic character. So I think leaning into the zaniness and the kind of over-the-top, corny, but sincere attitude of the character, I think that's going to pay off in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, Superman's always been hopeful. Batman is where you go to play if you want dark and brooding and, hey, his parents were murdered and he fights gritty crime and stuff like that. Yeah. He keeps to a city. He's not, the world's protector kind of stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, but again, that's some of the problem, though, too, with the studios. They give people who have never read the comic, never cared about the characters, like, hey, here's a paycheck. What am I doing? The Flash. Okay, I'm gonna make him with a purple costume. No, sorry, you can't. He's been, this color. These are the schemes he's been with. Well, I've got some vision here, and I think maybe underwater. Well, no, that's more of an aqua. Well, yeah, but I want kind of this underwater thing, and they try and change it and put their stamp on it, and then it doesn't work, and then fans go, oh, look what they did. They made this character this. They took away this power. They took away this thing. Or, old X-Men where they gave them black leather costumes instead of just
this kind of thing,
When people finally saw like Wolverine in Deadpool 3, and I'm not going to lie, when I saw him put on the mask and it's like,
cool.
Fucking finally, after all these movies, all these years, you get to see him in the costume, right?
It's so good that they're getting back to that, like it's okay to The Dark Knight, I think, is a great movie, but it perpetuated that attitude that no one's going to take this seriously unless it's realistic and stuff. It's like, no, it's a guy that dresses up as a bat. It's a guy with knives that comes out of his hands. It's a guy that swings around buildings dressed like a spider. It's goofy. And I think like the Dark Knight movies, the serious tone and the realism worked for those, but it does not work for Superman. It doesn't work for Spider-Man. And I'm glad, like you just said with like Deadpool 3, that I don't like that movie. I don't like it very much, but that's neither here nor there. That kind of stuff, the fact that it's okay to be a comic book movie now, that makes me happy.
Yeah. And again, it will take, smaller studios that go, hey, look at this thing. And they do it so well that you're like, okay, then Hollywood gets the standard. Okay, this is what everyone wants. Let's bring it up again and stuff, right? Because again, just humans are lazy. If they can make a couple of million by just doing this, as opposed to having to put in more work, they'll do it, right? But when you get the people that's like, it's not about the money, it's about the passion. It's about just getting this piece of art out there. You notice it's so much different when the cast and crew and everyone, like when it's a real passion project. And I mean, it's amazing to see sometimes though, that you see a lot of that with some of the smaller projects where you hear like, hey, this small project, there was no problems behind the scenes and nobody hate each other and nobody was trying to backstab. And it was just to get this story out there. So I think that's going to happen. It's just, people pay with their wallets, right? And, exactly. Hey, I'm going to put my money towards this and a little less of this. So we'll see. I mean, there's a couple movies that kind of, seen the trailer. But again, I don't watch TV. I don't see movie trailers. So it's always just kind of when they come up. Most movies now, they come and go. And then you're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, let me tell you about Texas's polite outlaw. All right. So, Sam Bass, you've probably never heard of the name.
Can't say that I have.
All right. Tried to find the more obscure ones. Well, at least for some people. Was the most courteous outlaw in the Wild West. Think of him as the criminal equivalent of a guy who robs you, but asks how your day is going first. Right. Sam was born in Indiana, orphaned young, and decided to head to Texas. Because that's where you go, like when the trouble was back then. He tried being a cowboy, then a gambler, then a stagecoach bandit. He was basically trying to do like the Wild West version of just trying every gig job until he found one that fit, which turned out to be crime. In 1877, him and his gang robbed the Union Pacific train of $60,000 in gold. It's about 1.5 million today. Or, if you live in Toronto, it's enough for a 1-bedroom apartment. Right? And what made him stand out, you ask? I knew you were going to ask. He didn't like violence. Most of his robberies were smooth and clean and even sort of polite. As the legend says, he once told a clerk, "We don't want your money, just the company's. Put your wallet back, friend." But crime doesn't pay forever. And his gang was tracked down by the Pinkerton detectives and Texas Rangers. Sam was betrayed by his buddy, Jim Murphy, and shot in Round Rock, Texas. Yeah. On his birthday, right? No less, on his 27th birthday, he was in a gunfight. And today he's Texas legend, and he has a festival named after him.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting, eh? A little bit of honey and spice and everything nice, and people seem to like him, but still taken down by the law. So, got me thinking and wondering, you're going to be an outlaw. Do you go after trains, stagecoaches, or banks? What is going to be your main modus operandi for your gang?
I'm torn between thinking whether or not like I'd go with a practical option or more like train would be coolest. Train would be coolest to me, like a train robbery. So I think I would do that one, but like I don't know. It's probably the bank one's probably easier. Probably easier to do a stagecoach, a bank, and you can still have a pretty a dramatic scene with a bank robbery. But I think I'd be all about the theatrics. Maybe that'd be my brand as a robber. I got to make the biggest scene possible. And I think like some crazy train robbery, some crazy shit where I'm jumping from car to car. There's just something about that. I would choose train, firm train. Yeah, absolutely.
All right. See, I thought about this because why not? Train for me, risky.
It's
right because you have a lot, depending on the type of train, you have a lot of passengers. You can't account for what they are. Are they soldiers, law, some just armed citizen, right? Banks, you're in a town, law there, a lot of people. I started thinking stagecoach, right? They'd be alone, isolated. You can hit them anywhere, right? You do a tactic. You got some guys that, spread out a little bit. They start firing from an elevated position. they would then go on the other side, give fire. You have guys on horse kind of come up from the flank, but a little behind. So they're catching them behind that. Then you get them, sandwich them in. Yeah, I thought about it a little bit, but unfortunately, it's not the Wild West and there aren't stagecoaches anymore.
Yeah. For me, that's the problem with stagecoaches, that it'd be like out in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, oh, I can't make like a big scene. I'd have like a calling card, like a Zorro kind of thing. I don't know what I would do. Maybe just like leave a row of coins or something, or make like a Noah was here kind of thing. I don't know. I'd have to think about that, but I'd be if I was a robber, I'd be totally theatrical. That'd be the approach. It'd be more about the theatrics than the money at a certain point for me. I'm just doing it for fun.
Or let's say your thing is to be kind of a gentleman about it. You're going to rob them, but you're going to become famous somehow with a flag. You'll fly a flag and they'll see, hey,
that's a good
this
one.
is Noah.
It's like the Jolly
Roger. It's going to be, like a Jolly Roger, but the flag is a little bit of theatrics to it, right?
That's a good idea.
You rob them as a gentleman. They get to live. You be courteous about it. Maybe, hey, gentlemen, just up the road here, a little bit for you boys, just for yourself, right? Don't even worry about telling the company, say we all took it, right? Then you leave the flag on the stagecoach, right? Hey, here's my calling card. And that kind of becomes some of your theatrics.
That's a good idea. That's a good one.
Now, what would you name your 6-shooter?
Ooh. Oh. I don't know what I'd name it. Let's see. I feel like I'd name it something stupid. Like the Gatling Goblin or some fucking weird thing like that. I don't know. That's a good one, actually. I would use the Gatling Goblin, even though it's not a Gatling gun. I would just I feel like that's a good amount of theatrics too for a gun name. Yep, that seems fair. I do that.
I like that.
I'm staring at
that guy. Don't know what he's got. That's not a Gatling gun. That's a 6-shooter. He's got some straight iron. He don't even know what he's carrying. I think I'd call mine Keys to the Vault.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah,
because then there's a little bit of theatrics in that, gentlemen. I'm Goofy Smitty, and this is Key to the Vault. Now, please, no theatrics. I want to be nice. And if not, then you just do the old, Samity Sam or whatever, and just start shooting into the bank. Yeah. Yeah, it's a crazy. I mean, even then, right? Like the Wild West, much like pirates, wasn't a long career. Either you got in, got a good score, and was smart enough to know to get out, or you were one of those ones that, where's the next big one, and then the law puts you to the gallows.
Well, he was only 20. Was he 27 when he died?
20 on his 27th.
Yeah, on his birthday. Yeah. So yeah, it's not. I guess it's. I don't know what I was going to say there. I completely lost my train of thought. Train robbery. I don't know what I'm thinking about. No, yeah, but
in a train.
Yeah, that's my mind is just completely. Trying to get my bearings straight here. There we go. Okay, I'm back.
Not a problem. All right, what's your second story?
Oh, this is a good one. I think you've probably heard this one from me because this is something I talk about often for some reason. It's like my weird micro interest, or what is it, Mike? It's like a niche interest of mine.
We're gonna call it we're gonna name it a micrist.
A micrist. Okay, my micrist is for the uninitiated. Earlier this year in March, the McDonald's barge, the McBarge, sank into the Fraser River. Now, I'm a big Expo 86 fan. I was a little late. It was like 20 years or so too late to see it. But anytime I see Expo 86 merchandise or something, I like to snap it up and put it on one of my shelves. But my favorite part of the expo was that there was, among many McDonald's locations in the fairgrounds, there was one that was a floating barge in the middle of False Creek. I think it was on the north coast of False Creek in Vancouver. And it was this giant 2-story luxury barge, that had a McDonald's inside. Now, after Expo 86, the McDonald's, obviously, this was probably, I think it was the most successful McDonald's location at the fair. But the land that's there now it's like if you go down there, it's condos and stuff like that. There's a lot of apartment buildings. So the land is like, it's valuable real estate. And so the McBarge had to be moved. So they moved the McBarge to the Burrard Inlet, just kind of, on the north side of Burnaby, just past like SFU on the mountain. And it rots there for a while. They use it in Blade Trinity, so Blade 3 in 2004. Can't stop talking about superheroes. I think that's the one where not Mahershala Ali. Who plays Blade in the first one, in the first Blade movies?
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes.
He's been the only Blade.
He's the only one, because
the only.
Because Mahershala Ali never, the new movie they keep teasing never happens. But that was the movie where he like refused to open his eyes for certain scenes. So they had to like CG his eyes in. So that was on the McBarge, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that was when he was in a little bit of his troubles and stuff. Yeah. I think Ryan Reynolds talks about it too, where they would get the stuntman to do some of the other stuff. And then whenever they had to get him to do a line or whatever like that, I think, so.
Yeah. And so anyways, that's where they filmed like their lair, like Blade and Ryan Reynolds. I don't know who the hell he played in that movie. Their lair was the McBarge. But then eventually it's like a new guy bought it. And they moved it all the way down the Fraser. So they had to take it all the way out of the Burrard, go around Vancouver, like Vancouver proper, and then go into the Fraser River. And they took it to Maple Ridge. And it sat abandoned for years. And at a certain point, they floated an idea. They're like, let's make it like a shopping and dining kind of facility on the water. They were going to put float planes in it, like a float plane port, so you could take a flight from the McBarge to Victoria and Nanaimo. And then eventually they also, that never happened. And then they also wanted to make it like an undersea, like an ocean museum, despite the fact it was in the middle of the Fraser River, which is not the ocean, but that never happened either. And then earlier this year, this is where I come into the story. I did a podcast episode for one of our projects at school, and it was about the McBarge. I thought it was really good. And at the end of the podcast, I said something along the lines of, I'd like to think there's hope for the McBarge, but at the end of the day, more than likely, I think it's going to sink into the river and just be forgotten. And 1 week after I said that, to the day, the McBarge sunk into the Fraser River. I feel like I had something to do with it. I didn't. I'd never sink the McBarge. Never. But like the fact, like 1 week later, it's been sitting abandoned since like 1987 or something like that. The fact that it was 1 week after. Even I remember I floated another idea of mine for like an outdoor shopping and dining experience. So you take the McBarge, and then the Queen of Sydney, I think it was one of the old BC ferries that had been decommissioned and rotting out in Mission. And I said, take the two, put them beside each other, and make like a cool on the water shopping and dining district. It'd be awesome. Maybe someone would finally go to Mission then to do something if they put it out there. That's mean. I like Mission. But then this summer, a few months ago, then that ship, the Queen of Sydney, also caught on fire and is now like completely unusable. So like anytime I feel like anytime I mention any boat, any ship, a barge, I'm like a bad omen. I'm gonna sing. If I say the Queen Mary right now, I just did it. Things might go down. That sounds like a threat, but it's just my luck.
You gotta stop talking about boats, planes.
I shouldn't have mentioned the Queen Mary. Now it's gonna
buildings, anything important. Like don't name the bridge anymore. Yeah, I'm gonna go over the one bridge, and then there's that other bridge a little further. I'm gonna go over those two, and then I'll be there. Yeah, don't mention the bridges anymore.
I can't do it anymore. I know. I can't believe I feel so much guilt for it.
Especially don't name the bridge, because I got to get over that bridge.
Yeah, that's true. I got to get over it too. Yeah,
I don't want to go all around.
It's not even like I love the McBarge. I don't know what twisted idea the universe got from that podcast, but well, I guess technically it's not completely sunk. I think it's like mostly sunk. You're not going to get any use out of that anymore. Though. No. Who am I kidding?
Oh, geez, yeah. Because didn't you do that? Didn't you say that story on air too? Because I thought I remember hearing that when I was on air.
I can't remember if I did it because I was sports, so I can't remember. I don't think there was a situation where I said it on air, just because it happened in like March.
Or did Matthew say it when he was news?
Maybe he did, but I have like in my notes.
I thought I remember hearing like your story, you talking about it on social, and then I think somebody brought it up on a story. I thought I remember.
Maybe because it sunk in March, which is before we did our practicum. So I know. Oh, maybe it was because the owner of the McBarge just like went missing. Like after it sank, the government has been trying to get a hold of him, and he just went off the grid completely for some reason. So maybe that was what he was talking about. But yeah, I don't know where he went. He just
no idea though, because also for practicum I had 50 projects in 24 days, so everything is a blur of not knowing.
Oh, exactly.
What I did, what anything. I don't remember if they were articles, podcasts, or being on air.
Oh yeah,
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let me tell you the story of the haunted history of Bastion Square.
Bastion Square.
On the island. Now, Bastion Square in Victoria, BC is a place so haunted that even the ghosts are on Yelp. So I've heard. Looks lovely today, right? Cute calves, local art. But back in the 1800s, Bastion Squares was basically the Death Star of Victoria. Gallows, jails, courtrooms, and enough hangings to make a Halloween store blush. Now, one of its spookiest residents, hanging Judge Begbie. He would hand out death sentences like parking tickets. Locals say you can still hear his footsteps echoing through the old Supreme Court building, which now houses a haunted museum. Cold spots in rooms with no vents? Check. Whispering voices in the Maritime Museum? Absolutely. Ghost tours where people faint or get touched on the shoulder? All part of the charm, they say. Some believe the tunnels under Bastion Square were used to transport prisoners, smuggle booze. Basically, it was a way to sneak around as if you're an 1800s ninja, right? Either as a prisoner or as a criminal. Either way, you were going through, probably through that tunnel. A woman in black is often seen on the stairs, possibly a former prisoner. You could take a guided tour of the walk. And, you know, should somebody get scared and scream, you might get good cardio running away. So, what do you think about a place like that? Again, it's had deaths, hanging, stuff like that. So it's not your typical, like, it's a hotel, somebody fell down the stairs.
Yeah.
This is, you know, some innocent souls, some guilty souls. It sounded like you were automatically guilty by that judge. So,
good God.
What would you think? Would you, in a place like that, hang out in the tunnels? So you get a tent, you hang out down there, you get to set up cameras, whatnot, but you're going to be there or where I think there was a tree in the area, and they say that tree was sometimes used for hanging and stuff like that. So I don't know, pick under the tree, pick the tunnels, somewhere kind of maybe the cells. Would you do that? You didn't mind the hotel. How would you mind a place like that?
Are we talking like if I was there modern day or if I was there back in the hanging days, I guess?
Oh,
like if I
either. So modern time now where you're going to be alone. You get to have a GoPro and the cameras and, you know, IR lights set up. So, you know, even in the dark, we can see if you get captured by a hand or something. But yeah, so let's go both. You know, would you use the smuggling tunnels as, you know, a criminal, knowing that prisoners go through there, stuff like that, maybe that. And nowadays, would you hang out in any of those locations on your own at night?
Modern day, absolutely, I'd do that. I like urban exploring and stuff like that. And last episode, you know, I talked about, you know, how I'm not a believer in the supernatural at all. We even talked about Victoria, how like that city just has a weird, like, you know, presence in the supernatural kind of sphere. I think it'd be cool to go with a GoPro or something like that, make some good content out of it. And, I mean, obviously those places are eerie and spooky, but like, I don't know, like it's Victoria. It's not like I'm in the middle of, of nowhere or something like that in a abandoned mansion in the middle of a field or something. That kind of thing doesn't scare me. If it was back in the day, I mean, is one of the options on the table just not going to Bastion Square? Is that an option, or I'm okay? I'm there. Well, I guess the tunnels would be, I guess I wonder if they'd probably look there. The authorities, like, they'd be keeping a closer eye on that. I wonder if it's like a commonly used area for like trafficking prisoners and stuff, or like kind of seedy activities. Yeah, you know what? If I'm part of that lifestyle, probably better to be maybe in the tunnels than out on the streets. But yeah, that sounds. I'd rather be there in modern times. I think I'd rather be me in a GoPro than me as like a low life smuggler. I didn't even know that was a place that existed. Honestly, I didn't know this was a place.
There's a lot of that. Like when I was doing some of those, when I was doing the writing assignments, there's only so much you do. So you start looking at like different museums and stuff like that. And I started getting a little bit of some of that history, and there's some crazy little things here with some of the stuff where you're like, oh, like just some brutal murders or things like that, or weird mysteries, or just places that like insane asylums, or, back in the day when there was some kind of plague going on, then send them off to that island. And then we made it some place for the disease. Then we made it a sane asylum. Then we made it a prison. Now we're trying to make it hotels. And, like some of the weird kind of history that some of these places have gotten over the years. Yeah. I mean, it gets more as you get out east too, and you get some of those places that are really old and stuff like that.
Exactly.
All right. You said Victorian stuff like that. Let's take you out to some country. It's had some, I don't know, X country, right? Doesn't matter which, but you're going to go out there. There's a remote castle, and you're going to explore the dungeons and spend the night in there. You're the only soul for miles, and like the nearest town, 20 miles, let's say, like it's a distance. Like there's nothing. You are by yourself. This place has just a notorious history over its, we're in Europe, so between 1,000 and whatever years to now, like it's had it all. It's tons of different empires have used it. All the kings have been brutal, just prison sentences, wars, violence, everything. Like it is a brutal history in this area. Are you going there?
I mean, if the airfare is cheap, I'd probably go. Yeah, that sounds fun. Again, I like history and stuff like that. I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm a history buff, but I enjoy that kind of stuff and like urban exploring and stuff. And again, to me, it's like, there's no ghosts. Nothing's going to happen. If anyone, is in there, I'll just like take a brick and throw it at them. I don't know. But to me, that kind of stuff like that piques my interest. And so I would absolutely be game to go in a place like that, especially with a camera. And yeah, spend the night would be awesome. And again, make for some good content, kind of Mr. Beast-esque. I survived a night in a castle. No, I despise that kind of content. I try to make it informative in some kind of way. But no, yeah, I would do that. I would go there. As long as it's cheap,
Well, exactly. I mean, there's no stories, like there's never been in the media or news or like, oh my God, this person went in there and the ghost just beat the shit out of him, right?
There's no ghost. There's no evidence.
They kept asking for his wallet. He goes, I didn't bring one. I'm just in some abandoned, castle. And they just thumped me and they said, guess what would stop this? $20. Right? Like, yeah, like there's no stories to that. So I think it'd be an interesting thing. I mean, it'd probably be eerie in some things when you're absolutely. This was the torture room. And look at some of the old chains or different things hanging on walls. I mean, there might be some things you're like, holy.
Yeah, exactly. You'd still sense the kind of like dread. I think it'd still feel pretty uneasy and like, ooh, I'm not supposed to be here. But like, I don't know. Like what's the worst that's gonna happen? Like a bat or something. It's gonna come flying at you. I think that'd be a cool opportunity. If anything, yeah, I would.
I'll be bitten by a rat and get some plague.
That would be bad. Yeah, I'd maybe try to. Yeah, I'd keep my flashlight on the ground and just monitor that. But besides the rodents and stuff, yeah, that sounds. I'd do it. I would.
Yeah. Now, is there any kind of place you would never go to just for whatever reason? You're like, I have no interest in that type of adventure.
This isn't spooky, but like I have no desire to go to like New York City at all. That to me is scary. Just this giant like urban maze of like millions of people yelling at each other to, get off the street, or you're driving wrong. Places like that to me, like, that gives me the heebie-jeebies. I don't like the big cities at all. I like, even like where I live, it's like far enough away from like downtown Vancouver for me to be like peace, like, relaxed and stuff like that. So honestly, like I have no desire to travel to like big cities and stuff. It's just the hustle and the bustle is not my thing, So yeah, to me, New York is scarier than like an old abandoned castle by far.
Yeah. There's a crazy bit of that. The city like I like being a little suburb, little rural and stuff like that. Like
totally.
You can walk and you got parks and stuff, and it's quiet at night. There's not the traffic for some of the places. Yep. Like, I like that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's also cool too, like, depending on the term and stuff and when classes are and how early I got to get out to Burnaby to campus. And then, it's still, I mean, there was last January. I mean, I was getting up at 4 o'clock. I was on the road by 4:15. I was getting there, just after 5, especially when it's still dark and everything. And it's kind of cool, kind of seeing the city pretty dead for the most part. And you start watching the hustle and bustle, but to be in that hustle and bustle all the time, like I love nature. Like
that's what I do. Yeah.
Once school was done, right? My little trip was going out to a Soyuz and just being out in the middle of nowhere up on the mountain and stuff like that, and just enjoying nature. Like, that was relaxing. But to be somewhere like that, unless you have a purpose there, like, I'm going to check out this store.
Yeah, to me there's no like I like the feeling of being like I'm close to everything where I live in Langley. Like even like all the places I hang out in. I like going to Crescent Beach in Surrey. That's one of the places I like to go. You can see downtown Vancouver. You can see the like Oak Ridge Mall. You can see everything like right over there. You can see the skyscrapers in Burnaby, in Delta and stuff like that. But it's like, to me, it's just the fact that I'm like, like you said, it's close to everything while feeling remote is the feeling I like. Mm-hmm. Like I can't hear the traffic or anything where I live. It's like at most at night you're going to hear like a train down in like Cloverdale in Surrey or something like that, or down in Langley City. That's the kind of stuff I can get down with. I'm perfectly fine in like Langley and Surrey, like just on the kind of outskirts of like Metro Vancouver. Like this is my happy place. I'm fine going downtown. I go downtown all the time just to like, hang out, or like just to, watch a concert, or, go to the park or something like that. But it's not like I would never want to live there. Maybe like Kerrisdale or somewhere, one of the communities that's a little more like, the more urban, but like I would like to still have a backyard, and I'm fine with, I like my street doesn't have a sidewalk on it. It's just a paved strip, and that's fine, cause like no one uses it, besides us. So yeah, this is the kind of living I like, the city life, the metro. That's what I like.
Yeah. I mean, the traffic's just getting crazy too. Like driving, it takes me like 2 hours almost to get into school sometimes. I'm happy if it's an hour and a half to do, less than 75 kilometers. To
me, it's the worst part is like to Vancouver, from like North Langley to Vancouver, it's like 30 minutes on a good day. It's like, it's a breeze, but it's 200th Street, and like it's the getting onto the freeway that takes the longest for me, because I live like by essentially at the U.S. border, like almost as far as you kind of can get south. So it's just like if I was anywhere else in Langley, it'd be a little more convenient. But I think I'd still sacrifice that for living in the like I live in Brookswood, which is like a really small like forest community, kind of like it's the wilderness essentially. But like Willoughby and some of the really uber developed places along the freeway, I'm like, again, I like to have a backyard. I like to have a street that I can just walk down, without like worrying about getting hit by a car, so it gives and it takes, you sacrifice certain things for, sometimes it's just the quiet over the convenience, but I'm fine with that at the end of the day.
Well, exactly. I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. I mean, every city's growing now, so small towns are getting to be big and stuff like that. And eventually, you'll have to go way out into the bush in order to find a small town.
Well, exactly. Even where I live, like all of the there's a new fire hall being built. There's new schools. There's these giant just down the street from me, they bulldozed a huge forest to build some townhomes, and it's like that forest's been there all my life. And it was originally just like there was one farm kind of buried inside of it. And it's strange to see like the topography of the area change and everything. It's like now I can see, like all the way down to the end of like I can see blocks that I was never able to see that were hidden by that forest. And it's like, I get that the population demands it, that the expanding everything, like we need it, but God, I don't like that it's kind of encroaching on the area that like my area now. Like I was fine when it was happening to the people elsewhere, but now that it's like my problem, I'm like, oh, for God's sakes.
Well, and I mean, that's always the way it is. And I think that's sometimes the problems when you try and take these cities and make them bigger and bigger and bigger. They were never laid out for that in the original place. Oh, yeah. I always wonder if it would be smarter or easier just to start a new town fresh, right? Because as soon as you start making Vancouver, Surrey, Burnaby, Langley, all these places bigger, the traffic gets worse. You can't get anywhere, everything like that. Like, it's not going to happen. Like mass transit's okay for some things, but sometimes you need a vehicle to get around if you're going to go do certain other things way outside of it where you're like, okay. But sometimes I wonder that, right? Like, find a place, it's a little ways from the other towns, but you're going to cut all those trees down anyways with all these things, these parks and these areas that people in those, Langley have used forever to walk the trails and do that. Now they can't. You're going to cut those trees down, do it in a new area, build up the infrastructure, lay it out better, like do new modern.
The benefit of hindsight, I think we could do a lot better. Yeah.
And then instead of trying to cram these things in here, okay, we're going to try and put a sports complex here and a couple schools here. And then we're going to try and put some housing somewhere and do all this. Like, just start fresh. Okay, we're going to do a new town here. We're going to start it with 20,000 that'll do. Plus as the town starts developing, then we're going to start building all these houses and expand out here. And then this area over here is already going to be a school once there's the need for it. Like, pre-plan all these things. And as soon as the need is there, we already got the land. We already know, we've surveyed it. We've checked it all out. We know everything we have to do for it to make it stable for this kind of building. I don't know. I wonder if that's, again, I'm not one of the smart people that are going to BCIT that study this stuff that go, yeah, that doesn't work like that. Or if that is something, right? Like, you always hear all these places like, we're going to build this place in the middle of nowhere in the desert. We're going to pre-idea it. They're trying to do millions and millions of people, but start it small, have it all kind of planned out. Here's where the water plants are. It's going to be central here. Then it can deal with everything. And sewage like this, instead of trying to link into all these systems here and try and put old with new or whatever. And I don't know. I mean,
I've always been
not that smart, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah, I'm not that smart either, but I've always been a proponent of that kind of thing. Even with things like specific, like universities and airports, I find are always so strange the way they're laid out. Because obviously, like when they built YVR or when they built BCIT, they weren't prepared for the amount of people that eventually use those complexes. But the way they've expanded, like, feels kind of unnatural. Like, for me, like an airport, like YVR is pretty good, but like LAX, like, there's certain parts of that terminal you have to like hop on a bus that drives across the tarmac to a separate building, or you got to go under a tunnel. I'm like, could we not have just planned this for expansion? like a little bit, or even BCIT. I always like, I don't know if you've ever noticed, like walking around campus, like every building looks different. They're all completely different looking. The architecture's all completely separate. And everything's in a weird place. Like sometimes you have a class that's in some random building somewhere, and then it's like I get like in 1965 or whatever, they weren't like, oh, it's going to be like however many, like couple, like 20,000. I don't know how many people go to BCIT, but how many thousand people, like just maybe plan, like, okay, this is what we've got initially. We can expand outwards and it will make sense. I'm pretty sure UVic did something like because they have like a big ring that everything is surrounded by and around. Like everything is essentially it's like the spokes of a bike. Like there's one central road that goes around everything. Even SFU has kind of one unified design, and it's big, but a lot of the things are in the right place. But things like BCIT just kind of feel like it feels disjointed walking around the campus. It feels like I'm walking around like a business park, and these are all separate, different, companies, and the only thing that unifies them is like that big sign that's like SE10 and lists off what it does. Yeah, so I feel like it's weird that like future proofing is kind of, it feels absent in a lot of things. So yeah, I do wonder if things like future, like urban planning and stuff will go that route. Will kind of, they'll take into consideration what our populations have done in the past and how they expand. I do wonder too if like what you said with like starting a city in the middle of nowhere, if eventually it would grow to the state, kind of like we have now with like Metro Vancouver or a lot of the other metro areas, where it grows into the same kind of thing, like a big amalgamation of things. But at the same time, like you said, if you plan it right from the start, you're going to have a leg up on places that have been, cobbled together,
Have you ever walked through like a bunch of the buildings on campus for the main campus?
I've walked through a number of them. Yeah. There's some like I can't remember all the names of certain buildings, but like the one that's on, I think it's on Canada Way. The one, it's like the BCAA building is on the other side of the street. They have the Smash Burger places in there. Yeah. That one, like the inside of at least the ground level is really modern, and like it looks pretty nice and like updated. And then you go to the Tim Hortons over by SE10, like our building where we do our stuff, and it's kind of just like old and dilapidated, and it's, I don't know, some of the hallways feel like they're like, and like kind of feels like a prison, or like there's one hallway I walked down once with my buddy, and it just like ended abruptly, like it didn't go anywhere. Even like we have that not the planetarium, but we have, it was like we have our planetarium. It's like at the bottom of a stairwell in the middle of nowhere. I'm like, this seems like an odd place for this thing. It seems like they wanted a planetarium and they just kind of threw it wherever. So yeah, it feels to me very disjointed. Not that it really like doesn't really matter, it's not. It's like I'm not going back to BCIT because the architecture is different from building to building. But I don't know. It just feels kind of strange to me, kind of off-putting.
Well, I mean, I think that's just what you get with schools that are that old. I mean, some of the older buildings don't have elevators. There's no wheelchair, like that's original wheelchair access for them. Like it's, you can see that stuff. And I mean, eventually those buildings are going to come down, right? Like you can see how everything, but again, I mean, I can't remember exactly when it was, but some of those buildings are old and they get the new ones, and you can kind of see where the new feel is going eventually. But yeah, I mean, I think I can never remember all the buildings either, but like a lot of the SEs and stuff like that going that corner. And then where we had the video editing for second term, we went in for the
like the
lecture.
Auto shop. It was the auto shop building. Yeah, no. I remember I went in there and talked to the guys in there about for one of the school events one of the events I was trying to get up and running. That was like, and I was like, why are we back in this building for video editing when it's it's the mechanic shop? Yeah, it's so strange.
Yeah, well, it's when they were doing all the other classes and changing stuff like that when they after spring break when they started adding more classes in. And
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it wasn't necessarily the best class for a lecture where you want to hear sounds and how to do video editing and certain things
because
that
it's
you
not built
can't
for
quite,
acoustics.
no. But also they were doing the construction for the new dorms right
Oh,
beside,
yeah.
so we were facing that side of construction.
I remember
as well.
that now.
So
Yeah,
bad timing.
yeah, that was an experience, you know. But BCITs. It's what you get when you have like again like a school that's existed that long, and you have different architects and different planners that come in. They're all going to want a certain thing a certain way, even like maybe just to leave your stamp on a project, and I feel like you're going to get that with everything unless you do one giant, do it all at once, build something like a university to a capacity that you absolutely have no hope of reaching in the near future. But like, I can see why, it's you don't want to really necessarily put all your eggs in that basket. Like, oh, we'll build this massive campus and then maybe eventually it'll be full. It's like, if it doesn't get full, then you've wasted millions of dollars. So I see why, I understand why it's the way it is. It's just funny walking around and just seeing all of the kind of mismatched, styles and everything.
Yeah, the reason why they don't do that a little before your time was the Montreal airport.
Oh, I feel like I've heard of that one.
Yeah, build an airport way far away from everyone, no mass transit to get there. Yeah, it didn't last too many years or months, really, I think.
Exactly, yeah. So I get there's people smarter than me that are making these decisions, and there's reasons for them all. It's just funny as like an observer, as like the layman, looking at all these things. Like, yeah, why do I have to hop on a bus to get to my gate at the airport? And it's in like a different building off on another side of the runway. It's like, okay, that's kind of strange, but that's just the way it works.
Exactly, right? I mean, there's weird things that like it makes sense why it happens, but unless you're in that industry or trade, you're not going to get it. You're like, man, that's kind of goofy they do it. And then somebody goes, well, we do that because years ago we did it the way you said, and a lot of people died in a major explosion. So
yeah, exactly.
We do it this way, dummy. And you're like, makes sense. Yeah. But I mean, that's the glory of a, sideline, referee and stuff like that. Where you just get to be like, you're not doing it the way I think you should.
Exactly. Yeah. It's so much easier to say all that kind of stuff from the observer point of view rather than the person responsible for it. So,
two ignorant guys just going, you know what?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think civil engineering should really go like this. All right. Like, I think that
they should give a lecture at one of their like a big lecture for all of them. Like, guys, come on.
Well, I'm old enough. I could probably pose as an instructor, and they'd be like, "Oh, this guy's really? You can make bridges out of like compressed silly putty? Okay,
yeah, like styrofoam bridge. Well, I never thought of that. I feel like if I grow my beard out again, some people think I look older with the beard. So maybe if I do that, I can pass for one. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's. I mean, well, okay. Thinking about that, do you ever think about what you would do if you were the guy in charge of building a colony on Mars?
I've never thought of it myself. Let's see. I've always liked city planning and stuff, so I've always thought it'd be interesting. I think I would. I guess we're talking like, is the air breathable, or have we terraformed the planet, or is it just Mars in its current state with people?
All right, let's change it a little bit. You get to be a founding father, of kind of how Mars will be governed and formed. I mean, because we know nothing about civil engineering, so let's skip that one. All right, You get to kind of be to make the Constitution. What kind of rules do you want to see on Mars?
I think I would do I feel like the basics. I feel like I do like obviously treat everyone like you want to be treated. I feel like I'd stick to kind of a similar constitution to to what all of us, like, to the modern ideals that we strive for and stuff in like our country, and well, what the Americans should strive for with what they do. But yeah, I think just starting strong with, truth and justice and equal rights for everyone, you're free speech. I'm a pro as I've gotten older, I've definitely gone pretty liberal, pretty kind of far in that direction. And if I was, a founding father, and I would govern kind of as I think just be nice to everyone, treat people with respect and kindness, all that cheesy stuff that's totally true. That sounds like I'm lying when I'm saying that. Like I would hope for learn from the mistakes of the past here and stuff, and just start off with a, free and equal society. That's all I need.
Yeah, I mean, I think you also have to. I think some of the, we kind of know now with certain corruptions and how things happen. I think there's got to be some real fail safes built into it. Term limits.
That kind of stuff. Yep.
If you're caught doing anything, you're going out the airlock. Like, we don't need scumbags and sociopaths and psychopaths and
I think they're
crazy narcissists just trying to be like, I'm king of the colony now, and you're like, there is not one. Like, exactly. I am now.
It's so hard to it's almost. I think the thing with us as a species is that we've gotten too intelligent for our own good. We can. Once you've gotten to the point where you can form your own opinions and beliefs about everything, and every person on the planet has those beliefs, it's almost impossible to maintain complete order and, create a completely just society, just because you're never going to have people that, see eye to eye on everything. And we've seen that in our world and stuff like that. As much as you try to enforce ideas on people, even if they're objective goods and treat people right and love one another, there are just people that are never going to agree with you, and I think that's sad. It is, but at the same time, there's not really a way I can think to fix that. I mean, without having an autocratic dictator decide everything, but then at that point it's that's not a free society anymore. So I think it's kind of the folly of man, is that we're so smart that we really can't ever have a completely fair and equal society. But I feel like now I'm getting all philosophical and weird, but I think about it sometimes.
I've got something interesting because we come from two completely different generations.
Yeah.
What do you think about social media and being able to, how it's happened with everyone being able to be so interconnected? Do you see that as something that's been a bit of a detriment or a boon that we just haven't matured enough yet to handle?
I hope it's the latter, because I think social media is one thing. I think the ability to communicate with people across the planet and create the global village kind of idea, I think that's fantastic. I think that's awesome that that's a thing that we can now do and have the power to do. But I think the way that it's used is obviously, a lot of people use it for pretty nefarious reasons. I think it's hard to determine, really. I think at the end of the day, I would say it probably, especially in recent years, has been to the detriment of people. I feel like we've been absorbed into social media and online. It's no longer really about directly just communicating with people. It's about, I feel like there's just so much hatred out there, especially in online spaces. And the fact that you can do most of it completely anonymous is that I don't really know if I like, because there's so many horrible people that just use it as whether it be something simple as just hating hating movies that come out, every movie you do a horrible grifter kind of review on, or real tangible awful things like cyberbullying. And I don't know, at the end of the day, I feel like, again, I was born during the kind of right kind of as things were cell phones weren't like a huge, like BlackBerry was around when I was young, but like, you're not like, no one's glued to their phones and there's no screens or anything like that. And I think it, from what I can remember, was fine, in that state. But I think now with the phone especially being as advanced as it is, and I think I can say my life is probably worse off with the phone. I don't know about you, but like sometimes you get into habits with it. You start scrolling for hours and you feel groggy and shitty afterwards. And yeah, I think honestly, I'd say like, it's modern, the way everything is done now, modern social media and our approach to everything is to the detriment. It's making us kind of worse and lazier as a society.
Yeah, I can leave my phone somewhere else. Like there's plenty of times it's in another room and I don't care. I don't feel anything. It'd be like, yeah, that's cool. Like I'm not a doctor who needs to be like, oh my God, a patient will die unless you get the call to get to the hospital. Like,
yeah,
most times it's like, yeah, okay, it's over there. That's fine. Cool. With school stuff, yeah, I'll easily put that somewhere else unless like I have to, use the phone and this to be okay. I'm doing this and let's quickly look up this or whatever. But yeah, I try and leave it alone like sometimes, but don't get me wrong. I mean, I have one game on my phone that I play, only one. Everything else is school or stuff for like the podcast, like, or, because we have to have for school, we have to have Facebook stuff so we can get onto the school's radio website, for all their stuff and X and stuff like that. But once that's done, all those ones are going away because, I mean, yeah, a lot of it's just weird, toxic stuff. A lot of it's bots and stuff like that.
A lot of it is, yeah.
I mean, and it's, just people who are ignorant, who are in their own little bubble. They don't care. Like, no, it's this side. It's always been their fault. And, both sides are both scumbags in the long run, right? Yeah. Like, it doesn't matter the political party. They've all done evil things. They've all screwed everyone over. And everyone's just going to keep voting and stuff like that. Be like, oh, they've changed. They've changed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'd like to, I always tell this to my friends. It's like, I'd like to get rid of all the apps. WhatsApp or like a simple app that's just for text messaging, that I'd be fine with. But like even with like stuff like Instagram, like because I was born in the generation, like we were, I think, probably the first to grow up with a phone in our hands. Like I had like a tablet when I was like 13 or something. I got my first tablet or something like that. And so we've had these things our entire lives, and it's really hard to break the pattern because it's all we know. I will say, as much as I hate it, I'm probably would be classed as addicted to my cell phone because I'm on it all the time. Sometimes I'm even like, I'm rude. Like I'm on a phone at the dinner table and it's like subconscious. I just start mentally drifting. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going on in the online spaces that I'm part of. And then you gotta, like, people snap you out of it. It's like, dude, we're having a conversation. You can't be on your phone. I'm like, oh, like it's really, it's bad. And that's why this kind of thing is with the podcast, even like what I've been doing with you for however long we've been talking. Like
we've been talking for fun for over 4 hours.
4 hours, yeah.
I mean, the shows could be much more because we were yapping for about an hour just shooting the
exactly, shit. Yeah. But it's like, at least I've been actually doing something instead of just mindlessly rotting away on my phone, So this kind of thing, like, I think technology like this, like the fact that now anyone can pick up a camera or anyone can pick up a microphone or a computer and make a podcast, make a video, make music. I mean, obviously you're going to get a lot of slop, a lot of people making just kind of garbage, but for the people that really have their hearts in it, like, I think that's great. I think it's great that anyone has the ability now to express themselves to the entire world, So that I think is great. I think this is a great outlet and for the most part, depends on, I guess, who you are and what your goals are. This is an actual constructive way to use technology and social media as opposed to just, watching Family Guy clips on repeat for 5 hours.
Yeah. Because school, we need to have all those apps and everything and stuff. Like WhatsApp is only used to talk to you guys for school stuff. Otherwise, I just text people or have phone calls.
Yeah. I text the people that are closest to me, like my best friends and stuff. I text them. I don't use any apps besides Instagram. Like I don't have TikTok or Snapchat or any of that crap. I have Facebook accounts and stuff, which apparently there's a button on Instagram where you share something to both your Facebook and your Instagram. So people are like, come up to me sometimes like, oh, I saw that cool post on Instagram. I left you a comment. You didn't respond. I'm like, I forgot I had Facebook. I had never used Facebook or X or any of that stuff. Most of the stuff I use like Instagram. I just look at like stuff about my hobbies. Like, what's the new Lego set? Because they get the images first. There's leakers and stuff that, show the images first, and that's the kind of stuff I like. But yeah, I don't use any other stuff.
Yeah, the only thing for me is Instagram, and that's just to find people to interview and stuff like that. Otherwise,
good networking. Yeah,
WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, like I forget I have them, and then I, eventually like, oh yeah, I have those things. I'll look like, oh shit, hey, sorry, yeah, I don't.
That's what I do. Yeah,
like I use the one, I use it for the show. Otherwise, I'm watching documentaries on TV or something nerdy or news or whatever stuff like that. But yeah, the only thing that would start really getting me to play like console or PC video games would be like Space Marine 2. But there's no point because I got school and I want to buy a new computer for editing and get a drone and stuff like that. And some of the more, oh yeah, I want a drone so bad. I can't use my other camera, get the drone, because eventually that's like stuff I want to do, right? Tour around, do little history kind of things like, hey, this place is cool. Did you know about this? Get the shot, stuff like that. Do military stuff where, go to different military units and, hey, interview them, go out in the field with them, get shots of them and stuff like that. Like, yeah, I've got some idea because, again, I don't know. I love production. I love being on air and, for the radio station and stuff like that. But yeah, I kind of want to, when school's done, I want to be able to keep a lot of options open, try and get as much skills as I can and buy as much equipment as I can now. So when I get out there and I'd be like, okay, I can do this, let's go. And then, find maybe a company or whatever, depending on second practical and whatever. And then be like, hey, yeah, you work hard.
Awesome. Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if you can do that kind of stuff, like outside of school, yeah, like go nuts with it.
Well,
why not?
And I'm going to have fun editing. We shot the shit for 4 hours and stuff like that. Like, it's a fun little thing to be able just to be able to do right away, right? Like, I don't know any of the second years that really had shows. I don't know anybody really with us right now if they've done a lot like this. And
I can't think of. I was gonna start one, but then I'm like, I know I've been busy this summer, a lot busier than I thought I'd be. And I'm just like, I don't have a good idea yet for exactly what I want to do. And I don't want to just start shooting without having a core concept. I know that's what sometimes our professors just start shooting stuff. I'm like, I see where they're coming with that, but I don't agree. I don't really work that way. I'm like, I would like just an idea and the time to execute it. And yeah, so I'm like, I'd like to start my own something, start doing even what you said, I thought about the other day, some local history stuff, even doing some short form content, because that's all the rage and stuff like that, but something that's informative and not just, Subway Surfers gameplay with AI text over it. I'd like to start doing something like that. And, this summer just is it's been different than I thought it'd be. So unfortunately I didn't get as much time as I thought, but, what can you do? Maybe, if I manage my time better, I could probably squeeze in a podcast or something like this. I've squeezed this into my day easily. So yeah, maybe I'm just lazy.
Well, I won't say that, but yeah. But look, you've got all your nerdy stuff with the Lego. It doesn't you find somebody else who also one of your friends, and it's easy to start having another person that you can bounce off of and stuff like that. Gets the conversation to go in directions that wouldn't be if you just wrote the script of hey, here's some facts and I'm totally going to change how I do that next time, because it doesn't really work when I'm trying to do other stuff and be like, oh, hey, whatever. But I don't know. I thought I could try Chat GDP and get a whole bunch of information, have it kind of condense it and whatnot. And
Yeah.
I tried it to see, like, give it a little bit of like personality and like, humor, just so it's not like that. But, originally I was reading some of it, I'm like, okay, that's not bad, whatever. And then as we were live, I'm like, oh, that fucking sounds so corny.
Yeah. That's the.
So I think next time I'll just get it, just give me bullet points or whatever, go through Wikipedia and some of those ones, just be like, condense this into point form.
Well, it's a learning curve, Like how many episodes have you done of this show?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all for fun, right? That's why you just keep doing these things when it doesn't matter and you're just having fun. I mean, it's the same thing with like when on air and stuff like that. Like I wrote everything out so it'd be there, right? just in case, right? You're like, oh, brain fart, and I'm live on air.
Exactly, just to have it there,
But I think for something like this, all in form, I'll probably just go even more point form and just shoot the shit more.
How many episodes have you done of this series particular?
So this is the first 2.
Oh, these are the first 2. Oh.
Yeah, I was just trying to go like that. Because I've been going with some other people with like the Smith House Adventure Show and that podcast. Exactly, yeah. But then I've got a special forces guy who's also in a band. He's a drummer. And I'm just waiting for that. He's like, as soon as I got some dates, that's all cool. So I'm like, cool for the podcast. And I can trust and probably use you for interviews for, being for the radio or any of those other projects and stuff. So yeah, I've been reaching out to a lot, like restaurants, musicians, all the different things and topics we have to do. I want to at least have a couple of people I can go, hey, I need 3 people. I know you and another one. Do you know a third person that can do this in this short time frame? So I don't know. And it's fun, right? Like it
is, yeah.
Like these are fun. I mean, obviously when I'm doing like the other podcasts, it's, more serious, depending on the topic, stuff like that. So, it's a little bit different in that, where this is just, you get to have fun, and I'm going to be editing, and it's just to try new things and let's try this and stuff like that. And because I'm not being graded on it, it can just be whatever I want and try different things.
Yeah,
and then, you do it and you're like, that didn't really work too much. And then when I clip this up into just small clips, each one's going to have something different I add to it, whether it's different subscribe or how I make something work or whatever, background and stuff like that. And then figuring out like, okay, how much can I zoom in off of, these cameras and stuff, and figure it out. And you go, oh, that's too big. Okay, for the clips, I'll make it a little smaller and try and do this and stuff. Like, yeah, it's fun. Like, I don't,
pretty good, yeah.
Again, if you're not challenging yourself with some of these ones, and doing this just makes it easier once we go back to school and we have time for deadlines, and they're like, this is exactly what I want. It's going to be 30 seconds or 5 minutes or whatever. I want 12 different camera shots. I want 18 different transitions. You're going to have a logo, a background. I want a couple of graphics to pop up and right. And you're like, okay, now I'm confined. We're like this. It'd be like, hey, I'm just going to make lightning come out of your goddamn ears. And I'm going to do that now. It's because I said it. So.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. I'd be honored to have lightning shoot out of my ears the whole time.
Yeah. So, but again, right. It's those fun little things where you just play around the program, and then you never know. All of a sudden you you got a project. You're like, you know what? Lightning would actually be kind of cool for this. And I played around with it a little bit.
Oh, I played around a lot with the lightning.
I can't wait till I get air show footage and the things I'm going to be doing with that, just having fun. So, and then I'll probably do a couple of those videos and then post them up on the school's website too. Like,
yeah, cool. Yeah.
I was on scene. But, well, I think we've gone a while.
I think we have. I think you've got some good stuff, hopefully.
Edit. I don't know. What is it? After 7 now, our time. So,
God. Wow.
At least maybe you know what? Maybe I'll edit tomorrow. Get some ideas of what we've talked about. Figure out what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Hopefully, I've said enough useful stuff. I know I go a lot of like. I'm a rambler. I ramble a lot.
But. Well, so am I. And that's like, it's with the other show too, right? Like I really try and like, I tell them when I message you, I'm like, it's my show, but it's your episode. So expect to do a lot of it. Like I am highlighting you, where this one, I mean, again, it's me just yapping like a fucking retard for a while and, just hoping other people enjoy it, keep building it. And then who knows, right? Like whether, depending if we end up going on radio somewhere eventually once we grad, or we go production or behind the scenes or whatever like that. Like you never know. Somebody will follow you, be like, hey, I follow your other show. And especially nowadays, anybody around the world can, listen to the radio. So,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Yeah, you know, I've noticed I've got some Australian followers with the other stuff.
Really?
So yeah,
They're gonna love the Australian accent from earlier.
When I kind of found, well, yeah, I've insulted them and they're like, "Fuck you, asshole." That accent was absolute horse.
It's out of line. It's out of line.
I didn't throw the Trump or any of the Arnolds or any of those Golems or all those other stupid voices I do.
You got to save it for the future. People got to.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can't just whip out Gollum second episode or stuff like that.
True.
You
can't blow it all at once.
Gotta let everything kind of ruminate, ferment a little bit. Get that just.
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
All right, Noah, thank you so much. And whenever you're free, just message me and we'll keep doing these ones. I've got a couple other guys from the other year and stuff who's when they get time too. So yeah, I just want to stay busy in between doing stuff. So let me know absolutely. And we'll keep going out there. And hey, let everyone know what your Instagram is and stuff like that so they can follow you if you want.
Oh, my Instagram. Oh, let's see. I think it's the I've got like 20 Instagram pages I've made over the years. I think it's the real Noah Schmidt. I know.
Well, if anybody follows me, I follow you, so they can find you and your Lego one as well.
Oh, my Lego one, yeah, West Coast Lego. Oh my God, I don't post on that one anymore. But you know, I used to be a big face in the Lego community, but not really.
All right. Well, thank you. Talk to you soon.
That was awesome. Thank you, Brian. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. I'm Brian Smith, and have a great one. Bye-bye.